welcome everybody to Proving Grounds, powered by Verizon. I'm Kangas and I'll be your host today, live at the LCS studios for the first time, all split. 390 games of League of Legends have been played to get to this moment across the the Proving Grounds qualifiers, Academy regular season, and Proving Grounds itself. And now, welcome, gentlemen. We're here for the live stage games. I'm happy to be joined by Joshi and Rafa.
We're here for the first time. This is the first time we've ever worked as a trio.
Just stand there.
Okay.
Oh my God, he's real! We're here! Let's go!
Whoa!
Yes!
We proved it. Joshi is, in fact, not just a robot on the screen. He is a real caster. I'm happy to have you guys here. And not only just us, the players are here live in the studio for the first time.
I know, a lot of them are going to be having an opportunity to play on stage for what feels like the first time. Some of them have played on other stages, but very few of them have actually had an opportunity to play on the LCS stage, and it's going to be a wild ride.
Exactly.
Yeah, and there's so many players that are getting that thrill of the experience for the very first time here. I think the other thing, too, is that you're going to not just be either in your scrim room or your bedroom or wherever these players have been playing throughout the entire pandemic. You're now playing on a big stage with a bunch of fancy lights. I hope it's not too much of a distraction. I know when we were up in the casting booth earlier practicing, that was a big thing for us.
Yeah, exactly. The energy, it feels different when you're live in the studio. But before we get into the show itself, a reminder, we've been having a conversation around most valuable prospects throughout the whole split. You might notice that there's an empty chair right now. So let's take a look at who the winner of the most valuable prospect is.
Academy is all about growth, so we casters created a way to acknowledge developing players, which we are calling the Most Valuable Prospect Award. At the end of the Academy regular season, we each nominated a player that we think would bring the most value to a future LCS team. When we were going through the VODs, we were looking with a specific focus of the intention behind their decision-making and plays, through the lens of how they will improve over a 2-year span. Essentially, if you signed this player this summer, how many wins will he give you in summer of 2024?
With these criteria in mind, we are happy to announce that for Academy 2022 Spring, our most valuable prospect is Dhokla. Dhokla's stats display have blown the competition out of the water. He boasts the highest gold share among tops, 3rd highest damage share, and 2nd highest damage per minute. But places where he really stands out are his incredible 45.2 forward percentage, a full 8 points higher than Viper. His gold difference at 15 being 935, a full 646 higher than the 2nd highest. This accounts for 45% of CLG's total gold difference at 15, and is individually larger than every other team's early advantage. However, Dhokla's stellar performance alone would not have been enough for me to nominate him for this award. His incredible growth between 2021 summer and 2022 spring have demonstrated that this player is not done growing. Dhokla's target selection and threat assessment are among the best in Academy, and he doesn't just sit idly by with them. His confidence in himself and his trigger pull allows him to find angles that only he can. Dhokla constantly impresses me with his ability to hold on to buttons in teamfights, making sure to use them when they are at their most effective. Pay attention to how he holds on to Gwen's Hallowed Mist until he sees the beginnings of Orianna's Shockwave, eliminating any opportunity for counterplay. Here we get to see the full package. He attacks Ahri after her charm is down before swapping to Xin Zhao when Ahri gets too far away. But crucially, even here, he holds on to his Thundering Blow until after Xin's audacious charge, saving Triple's life in the process.
Now, on top of the recent performances, Dhokla's champ pool has also increased from his earlier days of Orange Shogat duty way back in 2018. He had 13 unique picks in this spring alone, and he showed diversity between tanks, bruisers, and carries.
Dhokla has demonstrated that he's constantly thinking about the game even while he's on the Rift, so not only does this make him incredibly dangerous on the Rift, but incredibly coachable off of it.
Dhokla, the first thing that he'll bring to an LCS team, I think, is that he'll actually elevate the work ethic of that team. And even if the team is working hard as is, I guarantee you, like, there's no team working harder than Niship, right? Niship is, like, literally in the office first thing, leaves the office the latest. Like, you can tell by his Champions Queue results. So I think, like, you know, when you have a player that's putting in that effort, it's contagious, right? Like, everyone wants to stay back and compete with him, or, you know, just, like, he brings good vibes in that sense. And then I also think that he brings, like, sure, he can be a stable player. He can play like the tanks, which we sort of like played towards the end of the split. But I think he has that X factor and like that real carry threat that, you know, maybe some top laners don't necessarily have. So I think he can just become like a really, you know, if he isn't already, but he can just be a complete package for an LCS team.
So, for all those reasons, if you're an LCS team looking to pick up a player, we consider Dhokla our most valuable prospect of spring 2022.
We are happy to be able to present the Most Valuable Prospect Award to Dhokla, and not only present it, but also welcome him onto the desk with us for the rest of the day. Dhokla, I gotta ask, first things first, crazy split of performance from you on an individual level. What was it like? What kind of prep did you do to level up this year's performance?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it feels good getting the MVP award. But this offseason, I definitely worked a lot and reflected a lot on what this year would look like for me. And I definitely put a lot of work in, watched a lot of odds, and it definitely paid off.
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw, obviously people know you a lot from your Optic days several years ago, and to kind of quote you, you did not used to be all that good, right? But the amount of work you put in over the past couple of seasons, over the past year, in order to just get to where you are, has been really impressive.
Yeah, for me personally, the way I see myself is those first years, I was still relatively new, but this split, I guess, is what I would base myself off of now, as my skill level. I guess those years were me developing, I guess. But right now, I think I'm definitely playing the best I had, and it's been consistent, which is the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, the one question I would really have for you then is, were you expecting this? Obviously you had if it was just a Most Valuable Player award, I think it is undeniably you. But
okay, well, I didn't obviously have this much success in mind, just I'm gonna stomp every lane all the time. But the biggest thing for me was confidence going into this year. I was definitely more confident than I have been previously, and yeah, I guess it's just showing my play too.
I think that having those 2 years of ramp up definitely helped out there. And like Josh was saying, this isn't a Most Valuable Player, even though you probably would have won that also. It is Most Valuable Prospect from the regular season, of course. So congratulations, Dhokla. Happy to have you on the show. And I also got to ask, because you are a player that has experience playing on the LCS stage, so I want to ask you about that next, because we have a lot of players now that either started playing in Academy during lockdown or just never had the opportunity to get to a stage game before. So what should we expect from some of these players that are going to have their first ever stage games on LCS?
I think things are going to be shaky in game one for maybe the first couple minutes of laning phase, and then once everyone settles down, gets comfortable with the lights, the desk heights, all the extra things that are different from home.
it's not your lumbar pillow.
Yeah. So then once those settle down, I feel like the players will be themselves heading into this best of five. So throughout the course of the series, they're definitely going to look better and better.
Is there anybody in particular that you're looking forward to in terms of who hasn't played on stage before? They're I think this person is ready. I think they have put in the work. They are just a very confident player, and the new setup's not going to face them.
I think my eyes are going to be on Kenvi. I think he's very confident in his gameplay, and just on the stage, I feel like he can just go to that next level and shine even brighter on the stage.
He's the one that I forgot hadn't played stage games before. He's been playing at Academy for so long, but we've had lockdown for so long. Kenvi joining, of course, 100 Thieves in 2020 on the Academy scene, coming up from the next program. Obviously a player that a lot of people think about, right, Rafa? We think about Academy, we think about Kenvi as one of the hype superstars. This is actually the first time that he gets to play on stage.
It's honestly a surprise that this is the first time he's ever gotten on stage. We had such hypes around him going into LCS even as early as summer 2021. But, now we got to see Kenvi really rise to the occasion and really show what kind of a monster he could be on stage.
And I think it's important to kind of put into perspective what we were looking at, right? Because the Most Valuable Prospect Award was something for the regular season. We don't take into proving grounds. And, despite the fact that Kenvi got multiple LCS offers before this split began.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
his Academy split didn't look so great.
Yeah, but then Proving Grounds is when his performance leveled up. So let's bring it into that matchup then, because of course, we do have a best of 5 series ahead of us, Immortals Academy versus 100 Thieves Academy. Interesting to note though, quick point, these are the same top 4 from summer of 2021. Yeah, how'd that happen, Rafa?
Why are you asking me?
I thought you had the script. I thought you had the answer.
Oh, yeah. Hang on. It's on the back of the
Oh, okay, yeah. You got the notes written back
It's
there.
fine print. Yeah. No, but honestly, 100 Thieves Academy probably had the most surprising glow up in Proving Grounds, because when we saw them towards the second round robin of Academy, it looked awful. I'm not going to shy away from it. It just
Last
was
place.
uncharacteristic of the organization. But I think ever since coming in from the play-in stage, everyone across the board has leveled up their play, and now they're playing like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, 100 Thieves Academy, their story and their ramp up to get to this point has been incredible. And this is actually the playoff bracket from last year that we got to see. So there we go. Immortals Academy, Golden Guardians Academy, Team Liquid, and of course, that legendary best of 5 finals. Dhokla, you were even there for that one.
Oh, no.
And then this is this year. These are the series that we will have live on stage this week. Today, it's all about Immortals Academy versus 100 Thieves Academy. And that's the question, right? Can 100 Thieves make that run back to the finals? Because last year they went through the upper bracket, but now they're coming in through the lower bracket.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting thing, right? They got every single matchup that they got to go from here, and that's one of the big things about being the lower bracket is not only is it do or die, you have twice as many matches that you need to play, and that's going to be something that, well, if 100 Thieves have like their current form, I think they're going to be pretty favored going into this, but man, is it a lot more work they have to do in such a short span of time.
Fun fact also, Cubby mentioned this earlier when we were chatting. 100 Thieves Academy have technically beaten seeds 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the tournament to get to this point.
And 5.
CLG, Cloud9, and then of course the amateur teams represented coming in from there as well. But Immortals Academy, let's talk about them and their journey to get to this point, because they also had that big upset against CLG, but they've had a couple of close series since then.
The FlyQuest series went to full 5 games.
Yeah.
After game 3, I actually thought for a second that, oh man, this could be a FlyQuest series leading in. But I think when you go back to Chad's interview at the post game at the end of the series, Chad was talking about, and we went into comms, we talked about coach, and we said, yo, give me something to carry on. Just give me something so I can smash.
Exactly. And Dhokla, you were actually there for that series. Let's talk about that. The CLG versus Immortals. What happened, man?
I mean, there was a bit of a Baron situation, the Baron incident. We don't talk about
We don't
that.
talk about Baron incident.
But they did play well, and I mean, they are decisive mid-game,
Yeah.
I'd say. Like, even when they're behind, they're still looking for plays, which I do like about teams when they are still trying to win the game instead of, like, losing slowly. So, I mean, both these teams, for me, have similar play styles where they want to carry through the jungle, or, like, their jungle is their main playmaking in the early game.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's just better jungle.
Yeah. Well,
So I do want to bring our attention to the next thing that we wanted to talk about here, because we are going to be live on stage, and that's a very physical thing, right? You know, it's no longer just names over a screen, over champions. And we've seen that some of our players have actually struggled with IRL performances lately. 100 Thieves Academy, AD Carry specifically, as we see on the screen here, I believe he cut himself with a spoon. I don't know how this is physically possible. But he managed to make it happen.
Working with,
I mean,
first of all.
You probably didn't know the ice cream combo one there.
oh, true, true. I mean, what I'm told, what he defends himself with, is he says, like, you know, I left my ice cream in the freezer for too long. It was really hard, and he just overforces it. And so, at this point, we have to ask, like, is he going to be able to beat this team with only one good hand? That's his trigger finger.
Exactly. He's not even playing at home. He's playing on stage now with a bandaged up thumb. So we'll see how that is. But I believe his teammate Busio also had his own thoughts on the situation.
I don't even know how that happened. He DM me on Discord. He's like, it was like at 1:30 a.m. and I just didn't respond. I just went back to sleep.
Are you concerned about Wixie's thumb inhibiting the team's performance?
Absolutely. I think as long as there are no spoons in the bot lane, Wixie will not have a problem.
No spoons in the bottle. Dhokla, as the person with stage experience, how many spoons are you likely to run into on stage?
No spoons.
No spoons.
Fortunately, yeah.
This is good news for 100 Thieves Academy fans then. Fantastic news for them. That's going to be a Shakara's tweet at some point, right? Like, he has to add that to the list.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's something you're going to have to start putting it out there. You know, there's a lot of flashbacks people have whenever they run into certain champions they always see. Whenever there's certain things that are coming on, you just, you know, get a bit of a, what is this doing there? And I kind of wish I had done it myself.
Yeah,
right
yeah.
before the game actually started, just run out there with some silverware.
You know what? I feel like that's tampering with the match, Yoshi. And I don't know. This is like mental warfare. Immortals Academy, though, Chad would do that. Chad would run over and just, yeah, if somebody doesn't have spoons on stage, like
Anything
clacking
from
them.
mental edge, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
I mean, if you really want to get into their heads, if you have any Immortals fans in the crowd today from the coaching staff, just have a poster board of a giant spoon.
Yeah. Mental warfare
Yeah.
right
In
there.
all chat in the pregame lobby.
Yeah.
Just type
a little
spoons.
head-
All the
Yeah.
hey,
Careful of the one
hey,
with
Wixie,
the
big spoon or
you
little
might
spoon?
lose, yeah.
Big spoon or little spoon? But with that in mind, that actually brings us to, of course, our next topic that we wanted to chat about. Because the big story of Proving Grounds going into the day, tracking the performances of previous players that have won, of course, but a big one today, Chad on Immortals Academy, facing off against Kenvi, the jungler that he replaced on 100 Thieves Academy's jungle run through Proving Grounds in 2021 summer. And he won the championship in Kenvi's seat. Kenvi was, of course, boot camping over in Europe at the time, Rafa. That was the big story last year, was what does 100 Thieves Academy look like with Chad in? Well, hey, they won the whole thing.
Yeah, well, so that 100 Thieves Academy run, it was not just, Kenvi swapped out. Tenacity also was boot camping, and so with Gamsu and Chad up there, I think the dynamic that was brought to that 100 Thieves Academy bot lane, or a squad overall, you get a lot of fire out of Chad because he wants to go in and just start things off. Kenvi, he still wants to be playmaking, but he's more meticulous about it. There's like some measured calculations he takes before he makes a play. And I think that's the big difference that we'll see on stage. Chad is going to be a little bit more of a catalyst, whereas Kenvi wants to wait for his laners to give him the window.
Yeah, and something we were talking about, because both Cubby and I did shortlists over the course of the regular season talking about the most valuable prospect, and Kenvi was on both of ours, right? He was one of these players that everyone was like, this guy is looking super good. But I said very early on, it's like, when Kenvi and the rest of 100 Thieves come out of this slump, you guys are going to remember why this guy was the MVP last year.
Yeah, exactly. And Dhokla, of course, you had an opportunity to play against Chad in the Proving Grounds finals last year around. You also have a chance to play against Kenvi throughout the regular season. What are your views on these two players and kind of like the distinction between the two?
Who comes to your lane more?
Kenvi definitely comes to my lane more in Champions Queue. I think both players are a similar playstyle. They are just aggressive early game. They share a similar champ pool as well. So just wondering what each other's counters to their own picks are. They're probably gonna have a unique pick, I would imagine, throughout the series. I've been practicing this throughout the week, and they're gonna show it off in the specified.
I think we're seeing Lee Sin Graves' priority skyrocket.
Ooh, even Graves.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if you remember, I mean, again, maybe that played into the positive for 100 Thieves Academy in their run, of course. I mean, Dhokla saying that they're similar styles, right? They both like to play aggressive. But I think that when I think of Kenvi, he has an option to switch it. He can play for more skill. He's played things like the Kindred, and he'll just say, all right, I'm just going to kind of farm up and then invade if it's an opportune moment. I mean, we even saw that against Cloud9 in their last.
Yeah, and we can't forget that early on this season, this was a team that was playing Renekton in Italy, right? Basically, nobody was doing that at the time. And, while it had some really results, it also looked really, really good, right? And that's the kind of thing where you're in the best of 5, you have a bit more freedom to kind of experiment. See, like, hey, are we feeling good?
Yeah, if you pull out game 1, then they have to keep it in the back of their mind. Do we want to play against this? Can we survive top lane early? Can we prevent the snowball? Yeah, it's definitely a strategy that could come out early in the games, the best of 5. But yeah.
What is your favorite game to run weird and kind of cheesy picks? Is it game 1 for you?
I would imagine I would personally go with game 1 because I feel like if you're doing that, you've definitely practiced that comp previously. So just start the best of 5 with your set draft that you're already comfortable on and very experienced with. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Best of 5s are going to be a new experience for a lot of these players, especially up on that stage. I do want to double back and say, when we look at the experience of Chad and what he brings to the team, I could potentially see maybe too much focus on early game ganks. Because we've seen this be a strength, but it can be a weakness when Chad is a little too readable. Because a lot of teams, I think, have been solving that issue of Immortals Academy where they get these early leads, especially for Wild Turtle. And then it's kind of like, all right, flip the coin. When are they going to get caught in a side lane from that point? But if you can prevent them from getting that lead to begin with, I think that is a big approach that 100 Thieves Academy could be looking for.
It almost feels like a bit of an opposite problem from what we see from Cloud9's Malice, right? People were saying early in the season, what Malice is going to do on the first clear. He's going to clear every single camp. He's going to show up to one of the crabs, and then he will consider going for a gank. But Chad, I think it was Cobby who was saying that it's, which camp is he going to gank after? 1, 2, 3, or 6, right? But you know it's coming.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's up to the laners to play safe and make sure that they don't get hit by those ganks. But with that said, we're getting ready to load in for the first game. So as we're getting closer to that first match, I want to go over predictions and cover who everyone thinks is actually taking this one. So let's take a look on the screen here. Dhokla, I don't believe we got yours, but okay, wow. Everybody has it across the screen. Never mind, 100 Thieves. No one's got faith in Immortals?
Magical does. I'm going to shout you out right now, Magical. I know you are pulling for these guys, but with the form that 100 Thieves has been in, it's hard for me to imagine that they're not favored. I think Immortals does have average, and that's why I'm giving them 1 game. But to see them take it down, that would be a huge statement coming out from Chad in particular.
And I have 3 too because I'm definitely more favored for 100 Thieves. But considering how quick Immortals were able to turn around some really doomed series from my perspective, especially against the FlyQuest one that we saw last week. I think Immortals have what it takes to prepare things against 100 Thieves Academy to then catch them off guard in this series. But you cannot count out 100 Thieves going from play-in stage looking like, oh my God, is this team going to be even good enough to get through the first round, to now leveling up back to the form that we would expect them to be in a grand final situation at the end.
And to me, these teams play very similar, early game focus, and then they scale well into a 5v5 team fight. And I feel like both sides will just, I think it's going to come down to like if they have a better top lane tank, like, I don't know, Concept's going to have his unique pool of
things.
champs.
Yeah, Concept's got his
And
picks,
then,
right?
but Gamsu's going to have also like his just standardized champs, I guess he's always playing on. So, and then they just 5v5. Like I don't really see these teams as side lane teams. They're mainly grouping on objectives and finding a dragon. So I feel like 100 Thieves just does it slightly better. So that's why I'm going with.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you pointed out there was during the regular season, during the second half of the round robin, it felt like 100 Thieves were trying to play side lanes. And whenever they were doing that for long periods of time, they unfortunately weren't having a lot of success, but they figured it out. They need to bring Gums, they needed to bring Jimmy towards the rest of the team and go back to those 5v5s that you're talking about.
So we're expecting a lot of team fights from this series either way. And that makes it for some fun League of Legends. I'm not going to lie. That makes for some entertaining gameplay. But with that said, we actually had a chance to sit down with both of the junglers that we've been talking about, hyping up Chad versus Kenvi. So let's actually hear from the players themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to play against Kenvi. Obviously, I was on X for half a year, and then I was able to sub into his spot when he went to the Worlds. So obviously, I have a lot of respect for the player, and I think it's really good. But at the same time, last year he had to watch me play on his team, and he couldn't do anything about it. And this year he's gonna have to watch me play against his team. He has nothing to do about it.
Last summer I played with Chad and won the Proving Ground. But this year I'm playing with Kenvi, and Kenvi's better.
We do end up living together at home, so I think playing against each other and then coming back home after scrimming against each other, after playing against each other is a really interesting environment. We're able to, like, doesn't matter how competitive or how aggressive we're able to play against each other, we're able to come home and talk about the games and kind of like, even though win or lose, we're both able to gain a lot from the games. So I think it makes a really interesting dynamic.
I would say Chad plays for his team, like if someone is helped, Chad will be there. But I think Kenvi's play style is more like selfish, so everyone should have Kenvi, and he always carries, and he's really good, good mechanically. So I think it's very different style.
Going against Chad in the regular season was always a big struggle for me, as I was not really warding properly, or we weren't respecting their jungle timings. But now we have Chad figured out, and we just know he's just gonna run bot off cooldown and sit in the bush. So as long as we're stacking our waves properly, he will not get any ganks off.
So the 100 Thieves Academy is gonna be jungle warfare, and the better jungle will always win. You just gotta go and support them, you know, on the level 3 scuttle fight, on the Gromp invades, all of that. So yeah, I hope we get the better like side of the coin. I'm pretty sure we will.
And now that the casters have dipped away to get ready for the game, happy to be back with Proving Grounds powered by Verizon, and welcome Cubby onto the desk now with us. Cubby, thanks for joining us.
It's great, man. I'm excited. Can't believe we're here in person. Can't believe we have the MVP next to us, Dhokla. Congrats, man.
Thank you.
I know that, like, week one, I reached out to you, you know, talked about, like, what your offseason was like, and you were like, I put in the work. And I know this is a regular season award, but, like, seeing your Champs Queue performance, seeing the work you put in, well-deserved, man. So congrats.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, awesome to see an award go to a player that definitely deserves it at the end of a long season. But with that said, I want to bring our attention now, again, back to the match that's at hand. Specifically, Dhokla, we have you as our resident top lane expert, so we're going to start talking about the top lane matchup here. And in particular, a player that you have a lot of experience against, Gamsu, as you did play against him in last year's Proving Grounds Finals. Talk to me about this player. You know, strengths, weaknesses, what we can expect from him.
I think the way I view Gamsu is like a solid top laner. He won't cost his team the game, and he's going to play like his set champs like Gnar, Gangplank, Ornn, those type of champs, and always going to be solid and just be a solid team fighter, and that's Gamsu. Yeah.
It's interesting because I know going into this matchup, it really feels like both top laners are neutralizers. I mean, you have Concept with his champ pool. He's playing what? Urgot, Mundo, Singed. No one else in Academy knows how to play this and bring it out. But then you look at Gamsu. He's fine slamming the Ornn, slamming the Gangplank. These are champs that I feel like can play into Concept's pool. And I'm really interested to see like which top laner is almost able to neutralize the other.
Yeah.
And in particular, as we see right now on the screen, the difference in performance from Academy regular season to Proving Grounds. It feels like Gamsu's really leveled up his play.
It's crazy because, you know, Gamsu, I know that, you know, we're talking about all these players reaching the stage for the first time. And, you know, for a lot of these rookies, I mean, it's incredible that they're 18, they're able to get here. But for Gamsu, he went from playing League competitively to Overwatch competitively to League competitively again. I mean, the fact that he's here at the age of 27, almost more impressive than some of the rookies that we have on the stage, considering that he went from game to game. And the one thing that I feel like Gamsu brings to any game he's a part of, he's a big game player. Like when the playoffs come, he's been stepping up, and that's exactly what's been going on in PG.
Yeah, I was really surprised he was able to get out of bed this morning at the age of 27.
Oh no!
Yeah, he made it here, and
that's the most impressive part, right?
Yeah,
the 27-year-old's getting out of bed in the morning, clearly. But Gamsu, of course, is somebody that we're gonna have our eyes on. But his opponent on the Rift, we already teased it, Cubby. Concept's got a very unique champion pool, so I want to start the conversation about that because when we look at this player, that is like the big differentiator compared to the other top laners that we have.
I mean, how do you play into it, right? Like, we were talking about, like, what do you play into Urgot? Like, in Gamsu's pool, we feel like he has some solutions, but it's one where, you know, Concept, when he plays this pool, he just has more experiences, like, on the matchup than his opponent has. And I feel like that's something that is really difficult for top laners to play into.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like, this is where, like, 1v1 practice definitely comes and helps. Like, you just experience the matchup again and again and try to find the best counter pick in the situation. So, obviously, I would expect Gamsu to know that Concept's going to pull out these different champs and have an answer ready. I would, if they go for, like, these traditional, like, 50-50 matchups, I wouldn't be, like, too happy with that, but I could still understand if they do it for the comp. But I would like to see good counters into these unique champ pools that definitely have counters.
Yeah, but an interesting thing is tracking who gets the counter pick more often, because a lot of times Concept is given the counter pick, and earlier on in Academy season, Gamsu was just blind pick, right? It was just like 100 Thieves saying, all right, you're just gonna play the thing, and then you're gonna counter pick, but it's fine, you're weak side. Now lately, again, that story's changed somewhat.
I think it's interesting because both of these teams, they've been giving counterpick to support quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, Busio, if he's not able to slam the Xayah Rakan with 100 Thieves, we've seen them kind of lean on his mechanics and utilize the fact that, hey, Gamsu, you can play Orange, you can play Gangplank. That's okay in a lot of the pool. Same with Concept. He's going to play his champs. And so that actually makes things a lot more impactful on the bot lane. I think that's Immortals' best strategy, is still attacking bot, leaving Concept up top to his own devices. And I'm curious to see how those two styles are going to clash today.
Yeah, I mean, we can see it on screen right now as you get a look at Concept, the player. It's so cool to actually have players on cameras, by the way. I just want to give a quick geek shout out there because I'm nerding out.
Also, that champ pool is correct. A lot of fans at home might be like,
they might be like, there's no way. There's no way in like professional games. But in Academy, those are the champions that Concept's playing. And it just goes back to what Cubby had said, Dhokla. It's like, what do you play into that? Especially if you have to blind pick and just pick something that hopefully you can survive against knowing Concept.
For me personally, I like range top laners into his champ pool. I feel like he can be easily exploited. But it also requires a team to play heavy top side, like contest vision top side, play for respawn cams, play for Rift Herald, importantly as well, to snowball yourself in these matchups, which that might not be the strategy going into this game and the series,
It all, of course, comes down to Gamsu's own comfort level, and I'm hearing that we're getting ready to throw it on over, so I want to get a quick secondary prediction. Where are the top lane picks locked in? Who's the first top laner locked in?
Well, whoever's on blue side. I feel like red side should be getting 5P, because both these top laners can, I feel like, get a better matchup. Oh, that's what I would like to see, I guess, from like a top lane perspective.
Oh, I mean, if we're talking, coming from the CLG, you know, Dhokla, you are blessed with 5-pick on red.
I'm the CEO
pretty much.
You are the CEO of 5-pick. You know what Gamsu is the CEO of? GP on 4. Yeah. So we're going to see GP early, I think.
Yeah. Maybe my take's a bit too bad.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, so GP Urgot early on, right? That's what I'm hearing. That's the promise.
I think that it's going to be Gamsu early slamming a GP or Ornn, and then Concept's going to have a chance to counter.
Yeah. Maybe a Singe comes out. If he goes Ornn, I would probably expect a Singe to come out.
Yeah. So you're expecting Singed into tanks most likely?
Yeah, I think so. That's a good answer.
And that's what Gamsu oftentimes blind picks, right? Like if he does have that first pick, he'll just lock in the tank.
I love being like, you know, on a desk and being 100% serious. Like, yeah, we're going to see Singed.
Yeah, right? It's like there's a
People look skittier.
Much higher than non-zero chance that we actually get Singed on stage today. And you know what? I mean, we're talking about the lights, you know, sweaty palms, new setup. Maybe that's what he needs, right? A return to comfort. Just lock in that Singed pick while you're on stage.
Yeah, definitely playing to comfort definitely makes you easier in the game in the initial phases of the game. So
yeah. I know that we're getting close to pick ban. I think something else is really interesting to see. Chad, Kenvi have the same pool for the top 3. You think of Viego, Lee Sin, Graves. It's going to be really high prio chance for both these squads. After that, though, it changes a lot. We have Kenvi mostly playing the farmers, whereas Chad's going to be playing the J4, the Volibear afterwards. So
still the heavy gankers.
I think that could be like a big style change, and I want to see if 100 Thieves, what they do with Ahri, because that's the real enabler that Purdy is able to play in the mid lane, I think, really well. They've been playing really well around that pick throughout PG. 100 Thieves can play it too, but if you take that away from Pretty, it feels like he's going to play scaling mages. So I think those are the couple things we get closer to Pick Ban. I'm going to be really looking out for in this game. And then we got our top lane expert here. Will take us through all the games. Should be fun.
Yeah.
Should be good.
Hopefully no Kassadin, just for Pretty, right?
Yeah, no Kassadin.
Pets killing the loss always feels bad, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That against us too.
But we'll hear more of Dhokla's thoughts as well as Cubby's throughout the series as we'll be hanging out after the game. But for now, I'm hearing that we are getting ready for game number 1. So let's pass it over to Rafi and Joshi on the cast.
Thank you so much, Kangas. We're here, baby, live in the LCS studio for Proving Grounds. 3 more best of 5s, and it starts right now.
It's so good to be here, Mark. We've been seeing these guys for forever, but finally, this is the first time I get to see most of them in person. Can't wait to hang out with them after the games, but they got something more important they got to be focused on right now, and that's the people on the other side of the rift. And again, most of these players, this is their first time ever playing the LCS stage.
Yeah, just looking down across the board, apart from Gamsu, Kenvi, Jimian, Wixie, and Busio, all first time on the LCS stage. So this is a huge moment for them. And it's and even Immortals Academy members, you got a couple of them. This is also their first time on stage.
Yeah, and we got a couple of veterans, though, of course. We got Turtle and Joey coming out on the side of Immortals. They will have a bit more time to adjust to this. They're not going to have the same kind of, ooh, what's this period that we're going to see from a lot of the rest of the players. And I'm excited to see how they're going to be trying to lead the rest of the team throughout the course of the day.
The other thing, too, is when we look back at the jungle matchup that we highlighted so much on the desk so far, it really is about, do we see Lee Sin, Graves, Viego priority come up? So far, Graves is one of them, but Hecarim is the other big one.
Yeah, Hecarim's really big. I mean, both these junglers have been loving the Lee Sin, loving the Viego, and we know Chad has had so many blind picks throughout the course of the season. In fact, the Lee Sin, Jarvan, Hecarim, every single one of them 100% blinded throughout the regular season. So seeing these directly targeted at him is a little bit surprising. I didn't think of him as super excited about the day.
And good gameplay call out from the desk earlier. The Lee Sin instant hover does get locked in and bam!
Can't do that.
Throwing down the gauntlet.
I mean, it's a big gauntlet to throw, right? You got such a strong position. You say, you give me this, I'm going to first pick it every single time throughout the course of the draft. But IMT, that's fast. We were just saying how they normally are blind picking what Chad is, but you already see the Lee Sin. You know it's going to be going over to Kenvi. And Pretty, one of the #1 counter pickers in the entire league, is blinding the Ahri.
At this point, 100 Thieves, they're ready to slam down. The LeBlanc as the answer. That's something that we've been talking about a lot. It's like, okay, and you know, if you pick Ahri, what can you counter against it? LeBlanc is a big answer, right? The Xayah is also something that creates a lot of pressure just for anyone trying to engage on it because it's so hard to lock down.
And we got to remark. Great start.
Got him.
We are, in fact, already in a spot where this champion select is going fast.
These guys are ready to play.
They know what they're going in for. They know what they're looking at. Again, IMT, they got Wild Turtle 100% blind pick on the Zeri. He's here to play. They're ready to go. And again, it feels like every single person on the Rift is already ready to throw down. You got the Lee Sin blind. You got the Zeri into the Xayah. Both these AD carries ready to fight. And Ahri LeBlanc, I feel like that's one of our most talked about matchups this entire split just because of how much skill goes into this matchup.
And here's the curious thing for me going into this last round of pick and bans. Who do Immortals save counter pick for? Do they save it for concept and allow him to play one of those, you know, more specialty concept picks like the Singed or the Mundo in the past, or do they save it for Joey so that they can have a better time bot lane?
Well, I feel like you're generally going to have to look at it, and you know, there's the Singed ban, right? We were talking about this earlier. Good job, Desk. But the other big counter pick that we constantly see coming out from Concept is Wukong. He has actually never blind picked this champion, and it's something that a lot of the 100 Thieves top lane roster is not that great, but this is one of his most common blind picks, and it is surprisingly going to be the Joey. That says to me there's something a bit spicy that they're looking for.
And when Dhokla was talking about Singed, what is that good into? Usually tanks. I think 100 Thieves want to lay up for that Ornn pick. However, if they baited out the Mundo before, you can probably pick something that would take a better advantage of it now.
Yeah. I mean, it's surprised, right? You know, Aatrox does decently well into it. You got a lot of crowd control to knock off that pass, and it gives you lots of opportunities to bring Lee Sin top lane, and the kick suddenly becomes a lot more effective. But the...
Oh boy! Shiz! That's a NASA support.
That's NASA support, man. That is going directly in, and no freaking way. That's something that we already saw coming out from 100 Thieves, right? They were the ones who were looking to actually play the Rumble support before, and I don't hate it. I'm gonna say I don't hate it, but the Nasa's huge counter pick in theory to the way that Zarya wants to play the game. You give that huge slow, you make sure that she's not allowed to zip around the rest of the team fight, and it makes the LeBlanc, it makes the Lee Sin, it makes the Aatrox so much scarier.
I'm not gonna lie, I've had Smacks play a lot of NASA support in our game.
Why?
And it's not really looked that good. I'm not trying to dog on Smacks, you know, I'm trying to dog on the champ. But I know in theory why this pick is supposed to work. The Wither, maxing it allows you to lock Zeri down more easily, because outside of Nasus, you don't really have any point-and-click spells unless you can get in range with this LeBlanc, right? But for 100 Thieves, because they've shifted over to something super unique in the last 2 picks, this is what Dhokla was talking about. If I want to pull out something that the other teams haven't seen before, do a game 1. Try to set off the tone and get that first win, because, yeah, you might call it a cheese win, but it gives you the momentum for the rest of the best of 5.
Yeah, you got to think about it, right? Even if they lose now, it's going to be in Immortals' mind. Are we going to have to deal with the Nessa support? Is this something we're going to be okay with dealing with? And this is a spot where it's going to be really interesting, because it has, again, we can talk about the Wither for the entire pregame, but we also have to talk about the fact that it's got pretty good wave shove, right? One of the core things, and I think with Quas back in the day, who kind of pioneered it, where it's like, I'm just going to max E, I'm going to push this wave underneath your turret, and I'm going to make sure that I have priority so that I can actually roam. And going up against something like the Ahri pre-6, that Wither is not a bad ganking tool.
Yeah, because then you just walk up slower, and it's like, okay, are you going to Spirit Rush? Are you going to Spirit Rush? Are you going to Spirit Rush? Or if you come before 6, it's like, you better flash. Otherwise, the 2 chains are going to come out, or just, you know, 1 chain if it's still level 6. The other thing I want to look at, too, is how Chad and Kenvi are enabled this game because of this Lee Sin Viego matchup. Viego is something that can take better control of, you know, counter ganks, looking for prolonged skirmishes, but Lee Sin set up with something like a LeBlanc is a deadly duo.
It's here. It's real. We're seeing these guys go right on in, and Immortals not going to be shying away from early game pressure, right? We made the joke, is that camp 1, 2, 3, or 6 that Chad's going to be ganking after? Well, this time it's camp 0, right? You don't even have to do anything at all, just going directly into the enemy jungle.
Really get them.
Yeah, and as we take a look at this, one of the things I kind of want to talk about between these 2 teams, you know, and kind of set the stage early, both these teams got sent down to the lower bracket by Golden Guardians, and the winner goes on to play them again. They are both hungry for that rematch.
Revenge in the works, but they got to take each other out first. And, going to the predictions that we all had 100 Thieves favored in this one, but I still don't want to take away how much Immortals have shown in terms of progression, because they, as a team throughout the entire split, was an inconsistent one as well.
Oh, yeah.
The opening 2 weeks, they looked super hot, and then the middle 2 weeks was like, what the heck is happening?
Yeah, I mean, everybody at the beginning of the split were like, are these guys the real deal? Are they going all the way? They get their first 4 wins, and well, then they lose the next 4. But it's still a position where you get those really big wins, you get some momentum going into the rest of the season, and as we see a little bit of trading going down in this bottom half of the map, we're going to see a lot more of what version of IMT is coming through. And one of the players that we talked about quite a bit in the pre-show was Chad. Something that he said about this Immortals roster is he feels more comfortable playing alongside Wild Turtle because they think about the game the same way.
Yeah, and one thing about Chad that we didn't get to mention, you see that ward on top of the red buff, and he's talked about it multiple times now. Anytime I see someone playing Lee Sin, I know they cannot early ward against me, because, you know, that ward is so crucial for making that first gank or first escape work out. So they have
4
to,
times.
Yeah. And this has forced Kenvi to fully clear from the top side of the map. I don't know if that's going to change Kenvi's clear path towards the bottom side of the map, but right now, Chad going for the 3-camp clear off of Gromp, he can now look to be proactive either in the mid lane or the bottom lane, since it is pushing up, or he can look to maybe invade.
Yeah. Well, it is a big question, Ryan. We'll continue paying attention. Chad has already done 3 camps, and the fact that he is going with this bit more circuitous route around the jungle says to me that he was looking for a gank bottom lane, but has decided against it. So he's going to put himself on the opposite side of the map when Kenvi is in the bottom lane, and as we start to see, you know, things start to shake out, it feels like 100 Thieves, at least early on, have a more cohesive idea of how they wanted to play this early game, whereas Immortals are still trying to find their opportunities in.
It's definitely been on the slower side,
and they
right?
spot him.
Oh, yeah. If they're able to ping it out, I didn't see if they actually pung it, but there's the question mark ping that's like, hey, we think we saw the hollow mist, right? Or not the shroud?
Yeah.
It should
Invisibility buttons.
Yeah. should give you the information that Chad is nearby. He's here, though. If they can get in range, Kenvi is just right above them, but the dredge line doesn't really make the mark here, and Lucio just slinks right on up that wall.
Well, that's going to be a big showing, right? Chad coming down to the bottom lane, not going to be getting anything for it, and Kenvi, he's not necessarily the heaviest farming jungler as we've looked at, right? Obviously, that's going to go into teams like Cloud9, but it is a big difference that he is a bit more comfortable in these longer farming situations. And so, as he goes, he's going to take both crowns, and he will be very happy with the fact that he gets something and Chad gets nothing.
Yeah, it's usually pretty darn difficult as Lee Sin to get both crabs because you don't have any, outside of Smite, ways to easily burn down the crab, and you can always fall into maybe skirmishing earlier on. But because Chad was forcing more into the defensive position so far, mid, top, bot lane, all have been pushing on the side of 100 Thieves. That has given Kenvi absolute free control of the river side. And even though as Lee Sin, you normally want to see more action early, as long as your lanes are winning, you have some great scaling components on this side.
Oh, for sure. One of the other things I kind of want to talk about though, Mark, is what we saw from Kenvi early in the season, right? Dhokla said that Kenvi comes to my lane more often in Champs Queue, but that's also kind of true in just the regular Academy season and even the rest of Proving Grounds. When Kenvi decides that you don't get to lane, there's not a lot you can do when he's playing the Lee Sin. He's going to come top lane, he's going to go mid lane, he's going to find somewhere where you can jump on it. We haven't talked about it a whole lot yet, but this Lee Sin LeBlanc combo, the reason why it's been so good is because you have such crazy target selection. Now as I spot out Chad once again, Kenvi has so much freedom to move around the map.
And so far, he's not pressed to really aid the top side of the map. He's on his way towards the bottom side. Everyone has gotten in, you know, at least one solid purchase in, but this is the first deviation of the path, right? Chad looking to hover on the top side of the map. They don't really have a strong ganking angle, but I don't know if they want a gangle, perhaps. Yeah. Maybe a flood angle.
Flood angle. We'll get back into that. Chad, oh, he's trying to spot it out, but Kenvi will find him. Okay. Oh,
like two ships in the night.
Well, you know, they fired a warning shot at the very
least. Hey, back off the top lane, bro.
This is my lane. And Kenvi, it's like, oh, well, you're a bit slow. Concept flashing. Wow.
Yikes. I'm not sure what happened. Concept must have gotten a little too deep. Shout out to Sum41, Gomsu giving him, you know, 1-2 and making sure that he is now down a summoner spell.
Well, now that is good, right? Some of the things that we were looking at from Gomsu, he was never a particularly overbearing laner. He wasn't able to find these big leads on his own, but even with both of the junglers coming towards the top side, Concept not feeling safe enough is going to have to back out.
Yeah, Kenvi is deep in the jungle right now for Chad, trying to... He yoinks successfully away the Gromp, and he should be able to get out thanks to the Blast Cone. Immortals. All this pressure from 100 Thieves has allowed Kenvi to gain full access to the jungle against Chad. And even though they haven't really found a strong, aggressive lead, it's all been just, hey, we're getting further and further and we're approaching into space. And now you can see that Chad is starting to feel the pressure. This is where we might see a moment where there could be an unforced error coming out.
Yeah. We're going to have to pay attention. Oh, Jimmy going for a little bait. Pretty not throwing out the charm whatsoever. That could have been very different, but Chad gets spotted once again. He knows there's something for him to farm on the bottom side, and Kenvi instantly moving the match.
Yeah, Jimmy, and you can see that he's trying to call for him. It's a level 6 LeBlanc and a level 5 Lee Sin. It's already a lot of damage onto Chad. Jimmy coming over the wall. Chain still lands on the Chad. They lock him down. Should be just a couple more auto attacks. Resonating strike. Okay, wait, Chad. But it finally, Kenvi says, I'm going to flash for this, and first blood.
Okay, I mean, that's what we're looking at, right? Jimmian and Kenvi starting to work together. This was the big issue with 100 Thieves throughout the regular season. They were not moving together. It was Kenvi going for these solo invades, Kenvi looking for these duels, but now that he's got the LeBlanc, now these guys mid laner come back him up, that's an easy solo kill. With your duo.
Yeah.
With your friend.
Yeah. Always got to be in packs. And one of the things that we were talking about when Chad and Pretty came back in their FlyQuest series, it was about the combination of something like a Diana and Yasuo. This Viego Ahri was supposed to get off the ground, but the fact that so much of the push has been awarded 200 Thieves, they've been the ones fighting continuously for it, you can see how strained it is for Chad to find any skirmishing opportunities for him.
Yeah, I mean, the lanes for 100 Thieves have not been worried about him whatsoever. They spotted him when he was around the Gromp earlier with the mist. They know that he was doing the top side at the beginning, so Gomsu was able to bounce and then bring the lane right back onto his side. And then as Jimmy and Pretty are moving back and forth, I mean, you're seeing 100 Thieves. It looks like they have a very strong idea of how it is that they're trying to play this early game. And that's something that Immortals, we've oftentimes credited with this early aggression, finding them a lot of their leads. But later on in the game, Dhokla said it as well.
feels like 100 Thieves just do the team fighting better.
Yeah, and it's all about the more measured approaches that Kenvi has been able to take. That's the experience that you get out of Kenvi, who came into the Academy system effectively a year earlier than Chad. Chad is someone that has evolved and grown a lot, but so far you can see where the lack of inexperience compared to Kenvi is starting to show a little bit in these first 10 minutes.
Yeah, and you were on the desk with XU, right? When we were talking about the positional coaching, you know, he was doing all of his bits and working alongside assistant coach Gisser. He was saying this is going to be one of the big jungle matchups. And XU, another one of the top junglers, said that he didn't think Chad was there yet.
A little bit of a pause as Joey was coming from the bottom lane, looking for a roam in, but it just allows Pretty to get that wave shove, and now 3 members strong will be available to secure the first dragon of the game for Immortals.
Well, this is going to be good, right? You're going to be getting a little bit of something out of it, and seeing the Ocean Dragon comes through, meaning that there's no Ocean, no Cloud Soul to play for later on, will give Immortals some later game plays to go for. But Gamsu and Concept both have ult. They could choose to fight this, but they are going to be backing away, and it just means that Immortals, they're not super upset about playing this into the little bit of the later game, right? If Busio can never get to Wild Turtle, he can have a lot of success on this Champions.
Yeah. One of the other things that we talked about is whether teams want to take the trade of Rift Herald versus Dragon and which one you care more obviously about. 100 Thieves giving up the first Dragon. It's not the end of the world. You do get put on a timer if Immortals are able to chain those Dragons back to back to back. But so far, that was the one window where the bot lane did have push, because for the most of the game, 100 Thieves, as we've talked about again, they have been getting the push prio for most of the lanes this game. However, the all-in from Immortals bot lane onto Busio at most is probably just a flash, and the Summer Spell, but Chad and Pretty are coming in. 4-man dive prepped. This is a pretty big wave. Wixie and Busio would lose out on a lot here if they can get this. Featherstorm still available. Wixie's gonna cast it, looking for the pullback lane. He gets Joey out on the exit, but he still goes down to Chad and Pretty. But you gotta dodge out of the turret aggro. Oh, the dive! A little botch by Immortals Academy. They get 2, but they pay back for it.
The 2 super rookies coming out from 100 Thieves are resisting the dive, but Concept's in trouble now too. He doesn't have passive.
Does he still have flash? It's barely coming up. It's gonna be soon. The kick from Kenvi, sending him back into the wall. It's enough damage from 100 Thieves to take the trade.
And all across the board, 100 Thieves are turning it on. We'll take a look at this dive first, right? This 2v2 turned into a 4v2 coming out for Immortals. They are so hungry. They're looking for this. I want to say this Nasus dog champ. We don't want any more of it. But this is the thing. Wixie and Busio, some of our strongest new players in the league. They're looking for opportunities to turn things around, and getting that root there onto Chad, getting all of this turret damage stacked up. Look at that. It does 500 damage, probably from the armor strip from Nasus, but also just because the turret's been hitting for forever.
Yeah, and the minion wave wasn't quite there yet anymore, so it made things so difficult for the rest of Immortals Academy to continue the dive, and they just underestimated how long it would take to make that happen. And so despite the first real big move from Immortals Academy going to the bottom side of the map, it seemed good from on paper, but man, 100 Thieves Academy making sure to maximize everything on the map at once.
It's looking good. It's looking really good right now for 100 Thieves. They are hungry. They come out with this unusual pick. They say that Nasus is ready to play. And interestingly enough, I know we've talked about it a little bit, but it is going to be going towards the Frozen Heart first. You recognize that Viego is going to be a huge part of the damage profile, and just slowing down the attack speed from Derry is incredibly valuable.
We know how good Frozen Heart is as well. It's just
broken.
such a...
Absolutely broken.
Yeah. Busted item.
But as we start looking around at the rest of the map, we are starting to get into the mid game. People are starting to finish up their mythics. I imagine Kenvi, he's nowhere near as fast as something like the 5-kill XU games, but he's got to be trying to find his way onto the Samsung Fast 5 later on in the series. But overall, it feels like Immortals are going to be going at the next couple of dragons from a bit of a deficit, right? That's when LeBlanc and Lee Sin can be at their scariest.
Wait, that's a lot of damage. Oh, pretty nice pick!
Okay.
Just being able to clip Jimmy and under tower gets him... I don't know, even if you caught me off guard, I thought that Jimmy would be able to dodge it, but Pretty, just well played. That is the type of pick that you need going into that second dragon of the game.
And this is one of those super volatile matchups, right? Pretty has been this big counter picker, but Joey, oh, you can't miss that.
Well, you know what? He's got Hex Flash, Copium, right?
Copium. You know, it's okay. Chad, I mean, that's a lot of time coming out from Chad that isn't going to be used effectively. He's going to be backing away in invisibility, so he doesn't lose a whole lot, but oh my god, did they see him back?
No, Kenvi is going to make his approach, though. And now this, even though there's no dive being threatened, Immortals are going to lose at least 2 plates off this tower. This funnels more gold into Wixie's pocket. If they can get a recall off before this dragon, I believe both Kenvi and Wixie will have their mythics completed.
They should be able to. Oh, that actually lands.
Joey, despite having no flash, is going to force the all-in onto Wixie, while Turtle tumbling in, gets the kill alongside it, flashing back away from Busio. But he ends it with Decade. Oh, can he pick it up? +6 for Busio.
There we go. Busio 3-1-1 on the Nas. It's the crazy pick coming through. And we said they need to have an opportunity to back away for their mythics. Look at that. Wixie's got a concept trying to do something. But it just means 100 Thieves. They're going to be going into this upcoming dragon with way more gold than Immortals. And this is one of the big decision points. Do Immortals feel like they have to fight now? Do they feel like they can take this game a little bit later? I think there's a lot of defense both ways, but Immortals still looking to trade.
Pretty has Spirit Rush and Flash. Does he go for it?
Oh,
nice
so
use
good.
of the Spirit Rush. Kenvi not quite finding the pick that he was looking for, and Pretty. Now both of these players are going to be down ultimate spells, but you still have pick opportunities with Ari.
Yeah, as we start moving over towards the dragon, you see that 100 Thieves. They have a couple more opportunities to fight, and Joey is going to be looking around, but it feels like just the raw power coming out from 100 Thieves right now is going to be way better. But Chad is there first. Is he actually going to pull this dragon? That would be very bold. They're going for it.
Holy, I did a double take, just making sure that was right. They're on top of Vision as well, but Immortals are saying, hey, there's no way they're gonna check this. And look, Wixie is still currently in lane, so they have a numbers advantage. So Immortals Academy actually get away with it.
Just cleanly picked up, and okay, all right, well done, Immortals coming through. Chad a bit more decisive on the trigger pull around the objectives. He got the Cloud Dragon, he's got the Ocean Dragon for them. And as we go into the Hextech Soul, one of the craziest souls in the game, my dude. So much attack speed and ability haste is going to be coming out, but take a look at the game. We have to remember, this is exactly what teams were playing last year, and Kenvi trying to upset that. His ultimate's not up particularly soon, but he knows that Joey's looking for things.
Yeah, this timer is currently coming up for his ultimate to be off cooldown once again, and he might look for it where Wixie doesn't have Featherstorm. Kenvi just being in a great spot, ensuring that if Immortals look for an all-in, he's there to answer.
But the double wards, he knows he can't walk up into the next brush. Going to try and look for something. You already see Immortals, they have Concept moving, both Concept and Chad, to get some wards down. They know the blue buff is up, and Kenvi now, I mean, he knows he's on Vision, but this should be enough pressure coming out. That's the thing about 100 Thieves that I feel is different between Kenvi and Chad. Kenvi knows he's never going to get that gank off, but if he just says, I'm here, you have to leave.
Yeah, Jimmy and trying to poke around because they know that there is an opportunity for Chad to be able to take resources since Kenvi was on Vision. Goms and Jimmy and hunting around, but because Pretty is there, just making sure that Chad is escorted safely out. They don't get all the resources, but at least he gets something back.
Good stuff. This game is honestly pretty good, right? We expected that this was going to be a lot of fighting. We haven't quite seen the whole big on team fights just quite yet, but there's lots of skirmishing, lots of give and take from both.
I'm kind of stressed about it. I thought it would be more like fun.
Better.
Yeah, I thought it would be more fun if we just saw a bunch of bloodbaths happening earlier on in the game. It's like, oh yeah, this is what we expected. The fact that it's been so measured, like, who's gonna throw the first punch?
Well, now 100 Thieves going to be starting off the Rift Troll again. They got the first one in exchange for the Cloud Dragon, but IMT have rotated everybody on up here. Concept has the Unleashed Teleport, but it doesn't look like they're going to do anything. Joey's still poking around, and both teams are ready to go. Just kidding.
Haha.
That's the second time I've been made. They're like, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to go for the Dragon. We're going to go for the Rift Herald. We're going to have these opportunities. But the big bug goes over to 100 Thieves, and we're again at a spot where I feel like 100 Thieves should feel very comfortable, right? Wixie is on the one item, that's a big spike. When the Muramana comes out, that's another big spike. When you get Cyrilda's, you are one of the best champions in the game. And you are well on track.
It's not a fun time playing against the Xayah when you just throw out, you know, what is it, 5-6 feathers, and then suddenly all of your health is just get shredded. How's that real?
It's not, right? I mean, we were talking about it. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter. I think it was Rhyme saying, it's like, oh, my playing card does 1,000 damage, but the Nautilus hook only does 50. What's going on with that?
The numbers are jacked over for Xayah. It happens, man, when you're a marksman versus being a tank. If you have too much damage as a tank, then you're busted.
Yeah, true. But as we start looking at the rest of the game, Mark, again, let's continue to set some stakes between these two teams. So far, during this split, Immortals, 4-0 head-to-head. But
that's not the only thing they've been doing. The last time these guys played in brackets, it was a 3-1 100 Thieves in Summer Academy quarterfinals, and then a 2-1 in Spring of 21 Proving Grounds, where Immortals ended up going out 9. So this is only the 3rd time these organizations have ever played each other in a bracket stage, and both of them have gone 100 Thieves way.
Yeah, there's a lot on the line, and when you look at kind of the precedent, it should be swinging one way, right? But for Immortals Academy, they know how far 100 Thieves have evolved and grown within just Proving Grounds alone. Because when we go back to the 2nd round robin, it was like, oh man, 100 Thieves Academy looking one of like the bottom teams, but now they are looking like a top team trying to rematch Team Liquid in the grand finals. And but you got to get through 2 teams first, and Immortals Academy, I mean, Chad is a defending Proving Grounds champion, was on that 100 Thieves Academy squad.
Wait, who else is? Gamsu.
True.
He was on the exact same roster, in fact, right? We got to see these guys have a lot of good success, and I feel like, you know, Kenby deserves some of the credit, right? He got them all the way there, and then Chad and Gamsu were able to win their last couple of series, but this is a big spot where a lot of these players were playing on 100 Thieves last time around and still looking for their big opportunities, and I feel like that's something we have to praise 100 Thieves for. I feel like we do it a lot, but they deserve it. Is every single time they have been so good at finding upcoming talent. We know that 100 Thieves Next has big players coming up in the works.
Yes.
But, I mean, I feel like the results are speaking for themselves.
Yeah, this is the result of 2 years when you go all the way back to class of 2020. And Gamsu, one of the defending Proving Grounds champions, has now get himself out of this icky situation. It's a flash away and a teleport from Jimmy and answering back, but it's 2 against 4 on this side of the map. You have a Rift Herald dropped mid lane, 100 Thieves Academy playing for tempo.
Okay, and Immortals are instead, they're in the first place for the Dragon, but it's going to be a big scary spot. They are going to have to try and take this fight without the Nautilus ultimate as their main engage.
Joey making the main engage onto Busio. They take him out. It's shut down for Chad, but it gets kicked back. He has to be able to hold out. Heartbreaker, great use to be able to get out on the side. Jimmy looking for the flank, but multiple members of 100 Thieves Academy have been shunned. Immortals still trying to press forward, looking for any more kills. Wild Turtle was going to nail another one down. That's the 3rd dragon, and Immortals Academy will be on soul point.
And suddenly, Immortals are looking so much scarier. There's another turret going down in the mid lane to the Rift Herald, but if Jimmy steals this, he doesn't.
Oh, and he gets rooted. Can he get back? Distortion over the wall. He's out of there, but things are looking dicey, and suddenly the pressure has been turned up.
Yeah, Immortals were not looking to be in a particularly strong spot, but suddenly you are on the Hex Tech Soul Point, and this just feels like one of the big things that Immortals identified. They identified that as long as Zeri is able to free hit, as long as Nasus is not there with the river, you're gonna go.
Oh, okay, well, 100 Thieves Academy trying to catch them off the timers right there. No more ultimates available for most of these members here, except Concept, who pops it. It's gonna force out the members of 100 Thieves Academy. Holy crap, what just happened, Josh? Because if we look back at the beginning of the game, we were talking about how the game was super slow. Immortals Academy were being pressured in all lanes. All the lanes were pretty much winning for 100 Thieves. They had the priority push. Chad giving up first blood over to Kenvi and Jimian. But then they make the trade for Dragon, and suddenly they're on 3 Dragons, and 100 Thieves Academy never had a response for the earlier ones.
Yeah, and some of the places that we weren't necessarily expecting big leads coming out are coming out from Pretty, who has had a fantastic year on this Ahri, and of course Wild Turtle, who continues to blind pick this Zeri. They are both up 20-odd CS in both of their lanes. They're starting to get this gold back, and the big difference that we're going to have to pay attention to is whether or not it's going to be enough, because with all the turrets going down, the mid lane tier 2 going down, that's 2 kills getting picked up by Kenvi that are not represented in the scoreline.
2-0, and then afterwards, no further action. That really 100 Thieves Academy were able to make use of that gold snowball. They injected so much gold off of the plates that they got for Wixie in the bottom side of the map. They opened up the mid turret just recently, but it's been all the trade now, having to face a potential Hextech soul-empowered Immortals Academy.
Yeah, ooh. We're getting to see hints of it though, Mark. We're getting to see hints of the damage coming through from Wixie, right? And remember, it really pops off when you pick up the 3rd item. When the Sorrel is done, he becomes one of the best champions on the entire Rift. But he's also gotten hit by a couple of hooks so far. We've been seeing Joey kind of having his number and locking him down at the beginning of every single fight. And if that's a trend that continues, it doesn't matter how much damage you do if you're dead.
The big thing for Joey this split as well, he has been someone that Cubby has given a lot of credit and praise to as someone who's needed to step up his game throughout 2021. 2022 has been an entirely different look. Is one of the main reasons why Immortals Academy have been needing a way to kind of fuel the fire that Chad and Wild Turtle do bring to the squad. You need someone that is gonna kind of pull that trigger first for them. Jimian, another 1v1 with Pretty in the top side of the map.
25 gold, got him.
That's clone
Got
gold,
the
baby.
clone. You only need the twin, right? Anyway, one of the things that we ended up seeing, look, that wasn't even that bad. One of the things that we are continuing to see, that we haven't necessarily been drawing a lot of attention to, is 100 Thieves. They've been getting a little bit of prio with Wixie, and then they are cheating into one of the side lanes. There, we actually saw most of the 100 Thieves start cheating towards the top side in order to try and create some pressure, but this is a big committal of a teleport from Concept.
What's teleport cooldowns again? Is it
4
minutes? Dragon's going to come up in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So Concept can no longer be on the top side of the map. Otherwise, you will be at most 4-man for the upcoming Dragon. I don't think 100 Thieves were really expecting to get out of that, but now that's a huge timer to play around.
Yeah, 100 Thieves are like, you know, we're going to try and pick up this turret, and oh, okay, well, if you insist, we're gonna back off, man.
That's usually one of those calm moments where we're like, oh, he teleported. Okay.
Okay, sick. All right, well, I'm going to go back and farm some camps. We'll see you guys in a minute. But this is the big thing that we're going to have to pay attention to. We praise Team Liquid, currently waiting in Grand Finals for having fantastic setups. They get their top lane pushing, they get their bottom lane pushing. They're looking for opportunities to make sure that they're not giving up any gold.
They're rotating on up. Chad and Joey just holding down the fort to see if Jimmy, because he wants to pull Concept, he wants to keep him over here on the top side of the map so that Concept is, you know, forced in this position where he cannot join up and make the 5-man squad for Immortals Academy. We still have a minute over to the Dragon, but Jimmy has to be careful. Looks like he's going to take the recall now so that he can start walking over.
Yeah, and we have just a little bit of time. It's going to be a big opportunity. This is realistically your last chance to get it back in. We're seeing Immortals backing away multiple members. The Shadow Flame is coming out for Jimmy, and what else comes out? The Locket is completed for Joey, and this is kind of do or die, Mark. This is a spot where Immortals can blow open the game by picking up the Soul, or 100 Thieves can kind of put a stop to it and buy enough time for Wixie.
It's not often where a Soul feels like game ending, but Hextech Soul is definitely one
It's so good. Okay.
Whoo! Dredge line. You know, it's okay. Joey hasn't hit all of them this game, but the ones that he has hit has really changed the course for Immortals. He can always look for another one coming up in the next few seconds. Watch Concept on the left side. Charm over the wall. If they get Kenvi, there's no way they can contest Smite for Smite. Kenvi still trying to flee onto the backside. Multiple knockups into the front line, but Gamsu pushing forward. Can he pick up the damage? But he cannot follow up. Pretty was so low, but Immortals Academy are able to hold strong against 100 Thieves. That should be Hextech Soul for them.
There's just not enough power coming out from 100 Thieves to actually win these front-to-back kind of team fights. Gamsu goes just a little bit to a 4-4, and what is this? Busio dies on the backside of that. Wild Turtle doesn't even go to the Dragon.
What just happened?
Hextech Soul going over. We'll take another look at it, Mark. This was absolutely nuts. They pick off Kenvi, and that is one of your main frontliners. He's not able to do anything, but notice the fact that Wild Turtle, even with the Wither, there is no threat. The Wither only stops the damage coming out for a little while before Wild Turtle takes total control of the map. He gets so much extra damage down, and I think he chains lightning off of this. No, it's
oh,
W
man.
at the very end. Unfortunately, you're standing on Vision, Busio. Again, that's something that can't happen, as now Immortals get a huge pick potential with the slow.
It's now a Hextech Soul empowered Immortals Academy. And even though the gold lead is technically 1,000 gold deficit against 100 Thieves, it feels super favored right now for Immortals Academy. That's a bold portal to take. Chad is waiting right in the wings to make sure they can catch out Kenvi, but he gets out with the blast cone, turning their eyes on to Gamsu. Popping the World Ender. I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Gourd Drinker definitely hits different with that. Kenvi with the kick. Knocks up Pretty, but there's no follow-up for the rest of 100 Thieves. It's just Busio. He can slow their attack speed, but that's all that the dog can really offer at this point. And Wild Turtle's the one that's popping off.
Wild Turtle 5, 1, and 4 coming through for Immortals, looking for everything. Nothing was happening until Lazari showed up, but they find it. They find more opportunities to go aggressive. Now they're pushing in the mid lane. They have free tempo, and they don't even want that. It's after the 20-minute mark.
Oh, snap.
Oh, snap.
Baron time.
Baron time. We're gonna go through. Okay, what can Kenvi do? We haven't necessarily seen a whole lot of smites contested between these two guys, but Kenvi has to feel in a kind of desperate spot. I don't even know if he's gonna get there in time.
Well, control ward. He needs to throw it out. Sonic Wave. Yeah, he's definitely here in time.
Joey's looking.
We've seen Baron steals happen before, but Joey and Wild Turtle are going to be on defense duty. They hold it down, but then beautiful Baron control from Immortals Academy. The patience to hold it at 2,000 HP. Take out Kenvi and secure the Baron on the back end.
Immortals suddenly in firm control of this game, Mark. We all had 100 Thieves as winning the whole thing, but most of us were giving some games over to Immortals, and this is dumb. Okay, yeah.
Everybody gave them at least one. Everybody gave them at least one. And this is looking like it's the start to something even better than that. It feels like Immortals have really taken control. Zeri is fully online. And while, yes, Wixie has picked up his third item all of a sudden, how are you going to get through Concept?
You know, I don't have to answer that question.
Yeah, I don't think 100 Thieves does either. That's the problem.
Well, Immortals Academy. The early game, definitely seeming 100 Thieves Academy favor, but now they are staring down the barrel against Chain Lightning champions. They're going to be spewing so much damage, but also the slow that you get from it. And Concept on this Mundo, we've talked about it before, that this is one of his specialty champion picks. I know his item build looks pretty budget right now, but he is freaking takey at this point.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted.
Oh, I just realized something, Mark. What's up? Gamsu has a Hole Breaker as his second item.
Huh.
I gotta say, I'm pretty shocked, right? This is definitely a team we were just saying earlier in the day that 100 Thieves is a team that thrives when they bring Gamsu into the fight, when they bring whatever their top laner is playing to actually bear. But you do not want to be grouping a Hole Breaker Aatrox.
Well, I don't know if 100 Thieves Academy are going to be able to make great use of it in these 5-on-5s. Now see if 100 Thieves can hold on into this base defense, because they have to defend against Baron empowered minions at the moment. Immortals Academy looking to take first strike against this squad.
That's a rune.
You got me there.
They're looking to take first strike. I don't want to interrupt you too bad. They are looking really good right now, Mark, but as turret after turret falls, we have a minute left of the Baron buff coming through for Immortals. This is a 4,500 gold power play coming out from Immortals.
Yeah, they were 1,000 gold down, and now they've just completely jumped off the board. They're still taking more gold off of them.
Busio.
Oh, Busio doesn't even get a chance to answer back. He just gets deleted. And now Immortals Academy, they're completely laying ruin to the base of 100 Thieves Academy.
They're looking.
2 inhibitors are gone. They have multiple empowered cannon minions. They could make this push.
I mean, they're giving up a lot of ultimates, and yeah, the Hextech.
Concept. Concept. He still has flash. That kind of sucks to have to use it, but you know what? You can hear some laughs on stage. You're like, well, it happens. It's okay.
It's okay. That is all right. Everybody else gets out. Concept is, left to the wolves a little bit, but hey, you are now up 7,000 gold. It was a 5,500 gold power play coming out from the side of IMT, and they are firmly in control of this game. They're scaling better. They have better control of the sideways, and pretty.
You have to go back to Jimmy and Kenvi, though. This was the 2v1 duo. An early pop on the Zanyas. And a pretty still has Spirit Rush available. Oh, but because it's the cavalry is coming in for Immortals Academy. Kenvi has been debated, and the rest of the reinforcements are here. Immortals Academy will wipe out 2 more, and they will lay waste to the final lane of 100 Thieves.
This is 100% a huge blowout victory for Immortals. It was looking a little bit rough, but they got the dragons. They got what they needed to. The soul is coming through, and Immortals, as they find the third inhibitor, are poised to take game 1.
Immortals Academy, this is a way to open up the series, especially against the decks that had 100 Thieves favored across the board. But if you open up with momentum this strong and are able to turn around an early game like that, Immortals Academy looking great in the opening.
I'm gonna be honest, Mark, as we start looking at the final moments of this game, they go for the flash. Jimmy's got a little bit of fancy feet. I'm getting results of the second round robin 100 Thieves. This is not the version 100 Thieves that popped off during Proving Grounds.
And you see a big smile of relief from Wild Turtle there. Joey taking a sip, saying, yep, business as usual.
No big deal.
Another day in the office. Chat's like, that wasn't even that bad. I'm okay. First blood, whatever.
Kenvi Schmenvi, where's the point of this? I'm gonna replace him one more time. It's looking pretty good at this point for Immortals, but I gotta say, I feel like 100 Thieves kind of shot themselves in the foot. The Nash's pick, while neat, it didn't look particularly practiced.
See,
yeah. It's been really good across the board. I want to see a little bit more. Even though you go for these kind of picks in game 1, I feel like Immortals don't need to think about it a whole lot more.
I think the biggest thing, though, was that there's that early game lead that we saw from 100 Thieves Academy built off of Kenvi and Jimmyan.
Yeah.
And they didn't really get a chance to snowball it. And it was the concept of Immortals Academy picking up the first 2 dragons, and then suddenly we're on Dragon 3, it's like, wait, guys, we just kind of lost track of time. But that ejection of gold didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we've criticized for Immortals for a little while now is they aren't necessarily the best at going for these setups. They aren't necessarily the best at getting ready for these dragons. But it feels like this time they had their side waves in check. They were at the dragons first, and they didn't allow 100 Thieves to come in. They were so good at drawing that line in the sand and preventing 100 Thieves from having an opportunity to play.
Yeah, turning around the first 15 minutes is definitely the way you want to start out as Immortals Academy. But before we head back to the desk powered by Verizon, we're going to hear some words from Pretty.
I didn't expect the 100 Thieves Academy to make top 4 this split. I thought by the end of the regular split they were pretty weak and they relied too much on their jungler to carry them. I think their other laners have stepped up a bit more in this playoffs, and I mean, I'm certainly surprised that they won against Cloud9. I expected 3-0 from Cloud9, but yeah, that's good for us. I prefer to play them than Cloud9.
Well, that was Pretty's thoughts on his opponent, but now we can give our thoughts on the matchup after game number 1. Dhokla, at the start of the day, we said it would come down to team fighting. At least that was your expectation when you looked at the style of each of these two teams. And lo and behold, that's kind of what happened in Immortals' favor.
Yeah, I mean, Dragon Soul was the win condition for the Immortals squad, and they got to it. And every time it was just a team fight. And then 100 Thieves just didn't have the better team fighting comp. They had more like 2v2 mid style, like individual solo lane stuff there.
Yeah, I think that like some of the attempt to put Ari behind early or Chad behind early, it was warranted. But when you get into the later stages of the game, you have pretty much solo engage on the Lee Sin going into a Nautilus Ari, and then you think about the reset potential that you have for IMT, the fact that you have that trigger pull, you have the Mundo that can tank in the front line, but then you have Depth Charge, followed up by Everfrost, Charm,
and
Viego
just through that whole time, just ramping up in the fight with the ult.
Yeah, it was a really tough game for 100 Thieves to navigate, and I think we learned a lot in this pick ban, but I'm really curious to see what kind of adaptations are made, because I would never give Immortals a comp like that.
Yeah,
and they got it in one.
You don't want to give Immortals that kind of scaling team fight composition, but at the same time, when we look at the side of 100 Thieves, they also went for more of a lane focus, like the Nasus support counter pick, the Aatrox counter pick for Gamsu as well. Is this what we expected going into the series either?
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple of unique top lane bans. Singe coming out.
Singe, Trendemir,
yeah, so
Gangplank. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is the style I expected, especially from Immortals, just going for that Mundo. I didn't like 100 Thieves' response and how to like build a better team fighting comp to counter like what Immortals was setting up for. So going forward, I'd like to see that change.
I think we also learned like a lot about not only the Ari, but also the jungle matchup. We did tease that shared pool, the Lee Sin, the Viego, the Graves. It seems like it's going to be a handshake early. And I just want to remind viewers, Kenvi, his Lee Sin this split. It's been 6-1. It's been 3-0 in the tournament. That's the first time it's been handed a loss. And I think it's interesting in this matchup because if we think of the head-to-head, Immortals 4-0'd this team in the regular season. They're now 5-0 over 100. And that Chad Kenvi matchup, I think Chad mentioned that they're roommates. I know there's a little bit of extra beef on the line between the two of them. And it feels like Chad's kind of living rent-free in Kenvi's head. So I really want to see if 100 Thieves can change up the strategy, change things up going into game 2, where we go from there.
Immortals tweeted out before the game started the meme, Chad holding the one spider suit, throwing it in the garbage and putting on the dark spider suit, saying, I won championship proving grounds last year on this team, but no longer the red team. Now we're on to Immortals. But of course, we'll give the players time to reconvene, chat with their coaching staff. Get some potassium, get a snack. Make sure that you at home are also taking a quick hydration check, because we're about to get into our next bit here, because we have the pleasure of the reigning Champs Q champion here in Dhokla. Congratulations on that. I don't think we gave you an official congrats.
I mean, we're too busy with this, man.
Yeah, he's got too many trophies at this point to keep track of. But because we have you here, we want to do a little segment that we're going to call Was Dhokla Impressed? From the perspective of the Champs Q winner here, we have it up on the prompter. We're going to run through a couple of replays, and Dhokla is going to let us know, based on this very advanced statistical graph, how he's feeling about the play.
Not impressed to impressed. Yeah, we're gonna roll some clips and.
Yeah, Dhokla, you look a lot happier when you were younger.
Yeah.
What happened here?
Is this a lesson for age?
Yeah, this is me, like my midlife crisis here. I'm almost 25, and yeah.
But the first play that happened was, of course, the dive under turret. Immortals attempted it, and you had some interesting thoughts on kind of what was happening here.
Yeah, I feel like Immortals played this a bit rushed. This isn't 4v2. They know that Lee Sin did just take their herald, so this should be a clean dive. And then they just didn't reset the towers like perfectly, and it got traded 2 for 2. So for that, not.
Ooh. Down at a 2. That's over CLG Dhokla right there.
I mean, it was 2 for 2. Also want to credit Wixie and Busio. They did clear out that wave. That's why those tower shots did stack up. They couldn't get the extra member. So a little bit of speed from IMT. Maybe some of those nerves showing a little bit on stage.
Yeah, and Dhokla, you even said this. I don't know if we mentioned it live, but you were saying sometimes if it's your first time on stage, you got the white noise in your ear. You know, it takes you a little bit to warm up, and that was in that window where you're like, maybe first 10 minutes we'll see some really bigger.
Definitely make like some questionable decisions, like the Muno TP top for what seemingly seemed like no reason. Obviously, as the series progresses, that'll probably not happen. So
exactly. But we have another clip, so let's run that one and get Dhokla's impressed meter here. Taking a look at this play.
Yeah, so here I just want to highlight Gamsu's build. So this is going to be a 5-5 game, and he should know that, but instead he looked to rush the Hullbreaker in a matchup where you're not really stomping the 1v1 hard enough to like take tower in his face. So I would have liked to see a Gore Drinker come out, look for a Death Sands, a teamfight style of build, but I think the build really like slowed down Aatrox's like progression in the game, and like his teamfight potential was just much lower than what it could have been. So that one is extremely bad. LS status. It's going LS status. I think it didn't cost the team the game, but you could have carried it if you just itemized correctly.
Yeah, and even Joshi touched on that. Joshi didn't notice it was built first, but his thoughts were, again, like if you're trying to team fight, that's not the team fight item. That's the split push item.
The lane was 50-50, so that was even more shocking. Like you didn't have a sizable lead where you're just going to take towers.
I mean, also you think it's Lee Sin, LeBlanc, Xayah, like these are not champs that are known for scaling. You're going to have better scaling if you have the Zeri, you know, you have all the resets coming out from IMT. So the fact that you do go for the Hullbreaker and try and side lane, I feel like that doesn't really go into your 1.5 item win con that they had, help set them behind, and Under Thieves bit the dust for it.
What I would say is maybe it was just pressure. Like, I got the counter pick. This is my time to smash lane. This is where, like, the team's trusting me.
I would attribute it more to, like, just this stage. Maybe he's not thinking 100% clearly. Like, it could happen. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I feel like his coach is going to give him feedback, like, obviously, like, just build differently. I think the counter pick itself is fine. Just the goal of the game should be different going into, like, what you're building.
All right. Well, the 27-year-old who got out of bed also gets the Fire 1 rating from Dhokla. But we have one more clip to run. So let's take a look at the last one here.
And then this was just well played to Immortals team fighting wise, and especially Chad getting, living barely. It looks like he's dead here, but he manages to flash ult and get out of there alive. And this does lead them to like getting the dragon and just winning these small team fights, these micro plays that end up winning them consecutive team fights, which just lead to them winning the game. So
all right.
For that's gonna be.
Give me a good one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, baby!
Got the kill and was able to live with this a sliver of HP, so it was really good play.
Okay, I love it. I was worried that they were all going to be negative. I was like, oh no, we're not going to have any swing to this side, because one of the comments that we had based on that game is it really did feel like maybe there were some nerves coming into play from the performance of both of these teams. It wasn't necessarily consistent, clean performance throughout the whole game.
I mean, I think from both of these teams, again, I feel like that was a tough game for 100 Thieves to win when you do not get ahead early. Because how do you engage? It's Lee Sin solo engage into an Everfrost Ahri, into a Nautilus. I mean, those are champions that can stymie what you want to do. And once that happened, you didn't have a winning side for 100 Thieves. You weren't able to get ahead bot. Things just kind of fell to the wayside. And I really want to see them try and switch up that strategy, because I think they need some engage. They need a way to really break this reset comp for Immortals. And Immortals will play slower if they aren't given things like the Viego, like the Ahri. So I think if you take those away, you force them to at least play differently in the next game. Maybe that'd be a better look for 100 Thieves, a team that is known for playing very quickly.
And I was going to bring us that next. What needs to change going into this next game? Because the players are getting ready to go into it. You're thinking Ahri, maybe a ban, maybe a pick away.
I think Ahri needs to go. Like these reset champs in team fights, which I think this game will just be decided at every single dragon. Like I think both teams are going to play heavy towards the solo win con. So reset champs, I think, are either you have a great answer in, like stomp the mid 2v2, or they should just be banned, I think.
Okay, interesting. Now, of course, mid lane Pretty, that's the big enabling champion that he plays. So based on just champ pool, champ experience, that's one that we expect there. But I also want to talk about the bot lane here, because again, the Nasus was the counter pick in there. It didn't necessarily work out. Was that a condition of the rest of the comp and how they played it out, or was that a condition of not liking it in this specific counter match?
I think in isolation, it's fine. But when you look at the team, it's Lee Sin solo engage. You're trying to play off of the LeBlanc poke later. And I think that how you want to play, you have to snowball the game 1-2 items. Nasus can't do that.
Sure.
You have to smash lane to do that. Once that was turned upon them, it was all Immortals from there. And just thinking with like how 100 Thieves play, we are used to seeing them play full court press, enable Kenby to invade. This team, I think it's important to note, second round robin, they were 5-13. They were averaging being down 583 gold at 15. That was the worst, I think 8th in Acad. Now they are leading the tournament in gold diff at 15. And this has been an incredible shift for them to really empower themselves in the early game. And I think that when you take that and you don't take engage later, you cannot push those advantages. So I think one of the swap ups we might see is instead of taking, if they are on blue side again, they could start with Lee Sin and Xayah and then just take Rakan right there. I think that's something that really helps 100 Thieves and Busio play the game really quickly. Once I was taken off the board, didn't like the Nasus answer, kind of slowed down.
Do we think they should stick on blue side, though? Because we haven't seen kind of a tilt towards red side favor.
I don't think the sides really matter. I think it was a style of play that was really the big difference here. I feel like Buzio's strength is definitely like out of lane, finding playmaking. But on a Nasus, it's just hard to obviously find these same angles that a Rakan might. So I think definitely switch a style of play. And then I think the sides didn't really matter too much, but...
I am hearing the 100 Thieves chose red side going into game 2, though, so we are going to get a change.
I mean, one of the big parts, we talked about bot lane, the importance of them getting ahead. That was a counter pick for Joey. And I think that this is something we talked about when you have Gamsu, you have Concept. You know, they're not afraid to slam their champions. You can give counter pick to Busio. Try and get your rookie bot lane. Again, their first split in Proving Grounds. Going up against Wild Turtle and Joey, that's no easy task. Getting them counter pick.
Played LCS?
You can rely on Busio's mechanics that we know are fantastic. I think that's a pretty easy swap to identify. And if you're going to handshake the Lee Sin Viego, can we can play both sides of that matchup? Both Asian wards feel comfortable with that.
And that's something that's very important, especially when we look at the experience of the two bot lanes. It's Wild Turtle Joey. Joey's played at MSI. Like, he's played internationally and on LCS. Like, it's actually crazy. There's a small asterisk there, but still, Wild Turtle, of course, has a wealth of experience to draw on. Wixie and Busio, rookies. They're coming in here, so give them the counter pick. Give them something that they're more comfortable on. Could be a easier
I mean, if I was a player, I would just chalk it up to coach diff and then
there we go.
Mentally move on for the next game because I think this draft was really hard to execute on, and yeah, you just look forward because it's the best of 5.
Calling out Golden Glue, just like that.
I'm calling out Juves. He's watching.
Oh, God.
All right, Juves, you got some answering to do as Dhokla's not convinced by the coaches here in Academy. But with that said, we'll be set into a short break before we're back with more Proving Grounds powered by Verizon.
Coach is over.
Verizon is going ultra with 5G ultra wideband in many more cities so you can do more. Mindy, with up to 10 times faster speeds, she can download a movie in minutes or a song in seconds.
Yep.
Okay, now let's work off-site. Public Wi-Fi? No thanks. 5G ultra wideband is faster and safer and so powerful that it's not just for phones. Hello 5G home and business internet. It's time to go ultra with Verizon, America's most reliable 5G network, so you can do more.